Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be going over my 25 for 2025, the books that I am choosing to try and read. The challenge that I have given myself this year is that I will only read the actual book. I will not use Audible. I will not be synchronizing with the Audible to help me read faster. I'm just going to try and read these as they are. The reason why I decided to do this is I have been watching another YouTuber a lot, Ian. I'm going to mispronounce his last name. I think it's Gublé. And he's actually the one that kind of inspired me to get back into reading and reading actual books and not just listening to Audible. So without further ado, these are my 25 of 2025. The first group that I have, the first book I have is The Black Company. It's a book about a mercenary group and some Kira, stop. Kira. The first book I have is The Black Company. It is a book about a mercenary band and some of the not so nice things that they do. The second book I am going to be trying to read is The Plague Ship by Andrew Norton. This is an older sci-fi book about a group of traders who end up on a planet, and after they leave the planet, their ship is stricken by a plague. The next book I will be trying to read is Redwall by Brian Jacques. I guess that's how his last name is pronounced. This is a book that is probably closer to like a young adult or a middle-aged read. I knew a lot of people who had this when I was younger. I didn't actually read it when I was younger, but it kind of always interested me. It's a fantasy setting, but instead of humans, you have animals like mice and rats and stuff like that. The next book I'm going to be trying to read is The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. Again, I don't know if that's actually how his last name was pronounced. This book is a book that's actually I guess you could say it was the companion to something that he had done. He was a teacher at a college, and he had discovered that he had cancer, and he decided that he wanted to give his last lecture. I do believe that he has passed away, and this is him basically going over what he talked about in the last lecture and giving it a novelization. The next book I will be trying to read is The News from Paraguay by Lily Tuck. This is set in 1854. If I'm not mistaken, it's during the War of the Triple Alliance, which is Argentina, Brazil, and the Oriental versus Paraguay. And it's supposed to be a historical fiction love romance thing. We'll see. The next book I will be reading is Luthien Gamble by R.A. Salvatore. This is the second in the Crimson Shadow series. I have not read the first one. I was lucky enough to get this book on clearance at a local bookshop and decided I would give it a go without reading the first one because I'm a huge R.A. Salvatore fan. The next book I will be trying to read is To the Far Blue Mountains by Louis L'Amour. I've already read the first one, and this is the second book in the Sackett series, the first one being Sackett's Land. I've already read Sackett's Land last year, so I'm going to be delving back into it with this one. My biggest book on the list, and my challenge to myself for March, is I'm going to try and read Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings. It is 1,252 pages, but everyone that I talk to or that I see on BookTube or on YouTube who talk about books, and they're like, if you're a fantasy fan, you gotta read Brandon Sanderson. So I'm going to see if he holds up to some of my favorite authors. The next book I'm going to be reading is The Halfling's Gem by R.A. Salvatore. This is book 6 in the Legend of Drizzt book series, which there are over 30 books in that series now. So I'm going to be continuing my journey with Drizzt to see how much more I can enjoy it. I've read, like I said, I read the first 5. I've really enjoyed them. So we'll be getting back to that this year. The next 3 books that I'm going to talk about, the reason why I'm talking about them together is because they're all Star Wars books. The first one is going to be Deceived by Paul Kemp. The next one is going to be X-Wing Wedge's Gambit. This is by Michael Stackpole. And then I'm going to start the Star Wars Young Jedi series with Heirs of the Force, and this is by Kevin Anderson and Rebecca Mosat. Like I said, I just put these 3 together because they're all Star Wars books. One is The Old Republic. One is set during the time right around the movies, the 4, 5, and 6, not 1, 2, and 3. And then this one is actually set after 1, 2, and 3. So I'm getting a good balance between them. I do read a lot of Star Wars books, and I'm looking forward to these. Wedge's Gambit will get me back into the X-Wing series, which starts out with Rogue Trader. Like I said, this is the first of the Young Jedi Knight series, and then Deceived is just another one of the Old Republic Legends books. The next 2 books I'm going to put together are Stephen King, The Drawing of the Three, and Stephen King, The Wastelands. These 2, obviously I put them together because they are books 2 and 3 of the Dark Tower series. I finished The Gunslinger last year, I believe it was, at recommendation by Ian. He had talked about how he enjoyed the Dark Tower series, and it got me really interested in it, so I decided I would try and read them. And I was lucky enough to find these at my local store, which I go to a local used bookshop mostly. I don't go to any of the big name ones, and luckily enough, they had both of them. The next book I will be trying to read, and I honestly think this will probably be my hardest read of the year, is going to be Empire of the Summer Moon by S.C. Gwynne. It is a historical book. There's no fiction to it, so it is straight up what actually happened. And I think that's what's going to make it the hardest read for me, is being put into a position to see what actually took place back then. I'm very interested in history. I have a fat electrician shirt on, and he is very good with his history stuff. So we're going to see if this catches my interest. The next book I will be attempting to read this year is The Anubis Gate by Tim Powers. I found this book just sitting off to the side at my local store, and I read the back of it. It seems interesting enough, so I was like, I'll give it a try and see what happens. The next book I am going to be attempting to read is Gods and Generals by Jeff Sarah. I've seen the movie. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the movie Gettysburg, which is set after Gods and Generals. I don't know if they're combined in the book, but I enjoyed it, so I'm going to give it a shot and see if I enjoy the book as much as I enjoyed the movies. The next book I will be attempting to read is Atlas Infernal. This is by Rob Sanders. It's a Warhammer 40K novel. Again, like I said, I originally started this channel doing 40K videos, talking about models and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that I enjoy this book. I do have a larger collection of Warhammer 40K novels, and I have enjoyed most of them so far, but we'll see if I enjoy this one. The next book, the next book I will be attempting to read this year is Spell of the Witch World by Andre Norton. This was just a nice little book that I found at the local store, and I picked it up because they had it marked down pretty well. It is a fantasy book. It's kind of something I was interested in, and I'm hoping to use it like a little palate cleanser because it seems to be a little short. The next book I will be attempting to read is The Legacy by R.A. Salvatore. This is book 7 in the Drizzt series. The next book I will be attempting to read, and again, this one is probably going to be a difficult read for me, is going to be The War Years with Jeb Stuart by Lieutenant Colonel W.W. Blackford. Now, this is a book that was written by someone who happened to be in the cavalry during the Civil War who followed Jeb Stuart, and his perspective on the things that were going on. I don't know how much it goes into any of the politics or anything like that. I'm hoping that it stays more with the military side of things, and I can enjoy that, hopefully. The next book that I will be attempting to read is Vampirates, Demons of the Ocean by Justin Somper. So this is a middle-aged book. I saw it in the bookstore, and when I saw it, I was like, that is super interesting. As a kid, I always thought about things like that, combining vampires and pirates and zombies and everything like that. And it actually reminded me of one of the times when I played through Oblivion. My character, I had turned into a vampire, and anybody that plays Oblivion, there's that one pirate ship you can go on and you get the cutlass, and I was like, I'm a vampire. So it really spoke to me, the book did. So I'm hoping that I can enjoy this book. The next book I will be attempting to read is Dragon Watch by Brandon Mule. This is book 1 and what looks like a 5-book series, maybe 6-book series. And I've had this book for years, and it's been sitting on my shelf, and I finally want to just get it read. The next book that I'm going to attempt to read, if I can get it. Okay. The next book I'm going to attempt to read is Civil War Commando by Jerome Preslier. I believe this is his last name. And this is just a book about some of the secret missions that were done during the Civil War. I believe this one deals with the sinking of an ironclad. And then the final book that I'm going to be attempting to read in 2025 is The Big Fight by Sugar Ray Leonard. and this is about just his life in and out of the ring. I do think this might also be one of the harder books for me to read. Not because I'm not interested in the subject or anything like that. I do find it a little difficult sometimes to read more historical nonfiction than anything else. I prefer fiction or sci-fi or fantasy. So we'll see what happens. And those are the 25 books that I am going to be attempting to read in the year 2025. Let me know your recommendations down below.